Hi college students! Are you looking for better test scores? We're here to help! Today we're talking about how to be a more successful student. First, we're talking about the three-stage model. This model shows how information around us, like your professor talking in front of the class, becomes memories. Sensory memory is memory that we first hear, touch, taste, and see. Essentially, it's information in the environment around us. Our brains hold the sensory information for a short duration of 2 seconds. Make sure you pay attention. That's how sensory memory goes into short-term memory. Shout out to Dory! Short-term memory is information in the environment around us that we pay attention to. Our brains hold 5 to 9 pieces of information for 15 to 30 seconds. That's why taking notes and being alert in class is important. Try writing down practice questions to study later while your professor teaches. This will help you be more engaged. By rehearsing, this brings the information to its final destination of long-term memory. Try not to be distracted during class. What information you don't pay attention to is lost. When studying, if you listen to music, make sure it's slower and doesn't have lyrics. Studies show that multitasking impedes learning, so turn off the TV and silence your phone while studying. Let's talk about stress. We know that stress can affect our health and learning negatively. When there's a big test coming up, our anxiety levels spike and cortisol is released. This means you can't think as clearly because your brain isn't using the cortex, which is the thinking and decision-making part of your brain. Luckily, there are some ways we can reduce that testing stress that's bogging you down. Exercise helps you reduce stress and helps you think more clearly. In a study done at Naperville Central High School, 17% of students improved their test score by running before class, compared to 10% of students who did better just by getting tutored or studying. Another way to reduce stress that helps our brain learn is by sleeping. Just what you wanted to hear, right? The brain heals, grows, and consolidates memories while you sleep. Our reasoning skills are better when we are well rested. The brain also repairs neural connections while we sleep, which means that we can become more efficient thinkers. Naps are actually highly recommended to boost cognitive functioning. For college students, the recommended amount of sleep is 7 to 9 hours. And this is the brain. Brain. What are some study techniques that encode information into long-term memory? The methods of encoding is by rehearsal. Rehearsal is like repetition. As students, we can do this by using Quizlet and making flashcards. Chunking is organizing your notes or information you learned into meaningful units. The brain learns well through this because it is practicing retrieving the information based on informative context, so it will be easier to recall the more you associate the two pieces of information together. We can do this by making outlines and organizing notes into chapters or modules. Distributed practice is one of the most important methods of studying for us college students. Spacing out the information that you are trying to learn will improve your memory for that subject. We can do this by studying after classes and planning for exams. Studying daily will help you improve your grades. Studies recommend that when you study, you should not do it for less than 1 hour or more than 2 hours per study session. Study daily so that you don't have to cram. Disadvantages of cramming include high levels of stress, a lack of retention on the material, and inefficient use of time, and results in lower test scores. Levels of processing is one of the most effective ways to study. The point is to think deeply and focus on meaning. Some ways we can do this is by writing an essay, teaching a friend, or having a study partner. Your study partner can help you think deeply about specific topics so that each person can fill gaps in each other's knowledge. And now we're going to talk about context-dependent retrieval. An important thing that college students should keep in mind when they're studying is to study in the same environment. By studying in the same environment, your brain gets context to the memory so it's easier to remember. This is called context-dependent retrieval. Ways of doing this is by using physical context, studying the classroom you will have the test in, using the same pen or pencil for the exam that you used to study, or by chewing gum or drinking coffee while studying and taking the exam. The next thing college students should keep in mind is the type of test they will have. This allows a student to be prepared for our specific exams. You may have to recognize the answer from a bank of options, such as multiple choice, or you might have to recall the answer like on a written exam. Recall requires a more thorough knowledge because more areas of the brain are active, whereas recognition is more superficial. Guess what? We've made it! Just remember, sleep well, it will help you learn. Keep your brain active by exercising. Make sure to have healthy study habits, such as studying daily in the same environment. You can do this by rehearsing, chunking, distributed practice, focus on meaning and levels of processing. Lastly, prepare for your specific test by using the recall or recognition methods. Most of all, remember,
your grades don't define you.